Hello, happy Thanksgiving. It's almost Thanksgiving. That's tomorrow. Giving thanks, I think, is so important. Uh, it's a good centering. I always remember my mother when she had Alzheimer's, and sometimes I would help her get into bed, and she'd be getting into bed, and she'd be saying, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And I asked my son, who also helped her, I said, I didn't know if she was thanking me or God or the warm bed or all of us and he said, I didn't know either. I don't know either. But on reflection, part of me is she was just a great lady, great teacher, teaching me to be thankful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And sometimes I say that as a centering and a foundation. And that's my mom, a great lady from Nebraska. Grew up in the Depression. Her dad was an angel, her brother was an angel, she was an angel, and grandma was the vinegar. And my mom was so sweet, she'd say, well, somebody had to, I guess, be that in the family. But not the most loving grandma, for sure. But, and as my mom said once, it was kind of sad almost, saying, Earl and, what was her name? Earl Blessing was his name. Anyway, I just knew it was grandma. But grandma and grandpa would have been happy just without kids. They just loved each other so much. And I don't know how happy grandma was to have kids, but I know grandpa was a sweet, sweet person, one of the best people I ever knew. When you talk about this manly man, and you got to be strong, and you got to, be buff, and you got to boss your woman around, I'm like, man, you haven't known many good men because there's a lot of men out there that have nothing to do with those kind of things. And they're the best examples to me of just being kind and strong. It's a good start. Caring about your people, and that includes from your family to the world. So this is a happy Thanksgiving. Thankful you are a human being on the earth. We can communicate, unlike a lot of the other life forms. The beautiful trees behind me, I guess they can communicate, but not like us, not to this level. So we're lucky, we're blessed, we're miracles, magical, and you are, and every one of us is. And don't forget that. We've created societies that reward the few and reward greed, and the greedy people buy elections and judges and lobbyists and lawyers and media. But hopefully that will all end, and hopefully we will become better human beings, better spirits and souls. I think we can. This is also book review number 2. This is the complete poems of Paul Laurence Dunbar. My favorite poet is probably Langston Hughes from Joplin, Missouri. Harlem Renaissance, 1920s. But I thought he had so much life in his poems, and I could understand them, and they moved me, and they were funny, and they were real, and they were sad, and they were tragic, and they were beautiful. So Langston Hughes, but I think Langston Hughes was influenced by Paul Laurence Dunbar, who I don't know if he was I guess he was a free black. I mean, it was not that long ago that all blacks were slaves, and so but I think he was probably his parents were slaves. I'm not sure, but a really smart guy, and that was one thing that happened. I think mainly in the Northeast, where people could see, okay, this person's a slave, and we look down on them, but he or she is so smart, smarter than me. How can that be? And his poetry, I just opened this up and see. Across the hills and down the narrow ways and up the valley where the free winds sweep, the earth is folded in an ermine sleep that mocks the melting mirth of myriad Mays. Departed her disheartening duns and grays, and all her crusty black is covered deep. Dark streams are locked in winter's dogen keep, and made to shine with keen, unwanted rays. Just and there's other stuff in here where you know, to me it's like, oh, I couldn't write that. I don't have that kind of mind. I don't have that kind of grasp of words, the beauty of words, putting them together, and his vocabulary, I think, is better than mine. So, is he smarter than me? Yeah, in some ways, no doubt about it. But he also did what would you call black dialect or whatever? When the snows a fallin' and the wind a call, Mama, Mammy mince a callin', didn't she mince to call? Uh, so another thing I like about this guy is he writes very, I think the word's erudite. He writes very well constructed and proper English poems that are really fine. And then he also has, black dialect that he's also used to, and he's not afraid of showing that. And maybe this is the 1920s, 1910s, I'm not sure. But Langston Hughes did some of that too. And, some black dialect uh, becomes acceptable to or commonplace acts. A lot of black Americans will say, instead of saying, he asked me to do that, acts, they asked me, the AX, acts. And so many people use that now. It's become almost the way to say ask is acts, AX. And I think it's kind of cool. I don't think we should be chained to one particular way of communication. This is quotation dictionary, and I like quoting different things, including like Jesus, the greatest commandment: love each other, love God, love each other. So nice. Something we don't do in a lot of the Christians, so-called Christians in the churches in this country. They don't do that, and they promoted and voted for Trump. It's like, how does that? It just doesn't make sense. What else did he say? Sell all your stuff and give the money to the poor. People don't do that. Christians don't do that. So when they say, "Oh, I believe in the Bible. Every word of the Bible is true," it's like, but you don't follow it. You may think it's true, but you don't do it. Uh, but I think the idea, Joseph Campbell would say, myth is not whether it's true or not, it's what it's teaching us. Whether Buddha walked on water, which is a story, or Jesus walked on water, which is a story, that's not the important thing. The important thing is teach us that purity. I think one idea is the purity of a soul. You can transcend the earth in a way, like you can walk on water, but it's more about how do I live in a pure way. And the quotation dictionary, one of the quotes is, I quote others only to better express myself. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to do 7 books. A New World, Arthur Quinn. It's pretty fat. Uh, it's about the colonial experience in the 1500s and 1600s, and British and French primarily, and Native Americans. And it's good to, we need to study that more and see what happened before America. We like to start in 1776, but 200 years before that, and all the fighting and the wars, and what I got tired of was the massacres. I got tired. This book talks about the massacres that happened on both sides, British, French, and Native American, and oh, so horrible, 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 hard to read. I probably didn't read some of them, but I read enough where I couldn't take it anymore. but I think I finished the book. It's a good book. Another book I think is really good, David Hawk, The Colonial Experience. Pretty big again, but just around the same time frame. It's not about the colonies proper, colonial life in Williamsburg and all that stuff. New York, Philadelphia. It's more about the British and the French and the Native Americans, and really well done. That's a great book. I'd recommend that to anybody. And no, he doesn't get into the massacres. So maybe that's one reason I like it. Age of Discovery, background for settlement, Chesapeake, New England Way, Empire takes shape, Puritans and Cavaliers. I read a little bit about the Maryland colony. That's an interesting colony. It has a lot to do with religious toleration of other religions, in Pennsylvania too. But the idea of toleration. I think Maryland was Catholic, but Catholics, there weren't enough to make that a colony of success. So they had to be, because they needed more people. Pennsylvania, more Quaker, but again, so many different people moving here. People like to say we're a Christian nation, but it was very so many different ones and so many different styles. And it's easy to say Christian, but what does it mean when there's so many different ones? In our history, and even today, a lot of different religions hate each other, and the types of the same religion hate each other, the Sunnis and the Shiites. Oh my goodness, it's just sad. I don't want to be a religious person. I want to be a spiritual person and learn from people that say wise things like Jesus, but I'm not going to follow organized religion. I've seen what they do and how they are very tribal, and it's us against them, or we're smart and they're dumb, or we're holy and they're sinners. That's so much bullshit. You really think God made people like that? I don't think so. That's man and woman. So Proust, I don't really read him, but I want, like I think I said earlier, I went to the university when I was in my 20s, and I would at one point collect all these books of the greatest writers, I thought. And the two that struck me the most were James Joyce and Marcel Proust. Proust is French, but I guess the translations, hopefully they're good. But those are the two I like. Oh, wow, those two are super special. I wish I had that control of the language that they do. So if you're looking for a good book, Proust, or a good writer. I read a lot of early America. This is good. This is good. Oh, winner of the Pulitzer Prize. Now, not all Pulitzer Prize winning books are good, I don't think. But this one is. Is it easy to read? Take your time. It's not that hard, yeah. 300 pages. Those other ones I was looking at was like 600, 700. But it's just well written, exciting, pivotal year. There's so many of those, I guess. But I'll review a different book on Washington. Quite the character, noble and fallible, very mortal, and very honorable. But yeah, McCullough. And some historians will say, oh, that's, what do they call it? Historical fiction or whatever, when they say Washington felt this way, or Jefferson, became depressed. And, where they say, man, that's not historical. You don't know exactly what they felt, or if you try to quote them, because it's hundreds of years old, just like quoting Jesus or Buddha, it's thousands of years old. We can get the ideas of the beauty behind what they said, or sometimes what Washington said, or Jefferson, Madison, one of the main guys in the Constitution, maybe number one. But they all learned from people before them. Jesus and Buddha learned from people before them. So just be open. Be open. Like I said, I learned a lot from my mother, from my father, from people in my life. They don't have to be prophets that the whole world knows. Although some of them, what's this? There you go, Dhammapada. I like this guy, Eknath Easwaran. He translated the Dhammapada, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads. His favorite book was the Upanishads. No, I'm sorry. Bhagavad Gita was his favorite book. So in the Hindu tradition, it's the Vedas, the Upanishads, and then the Bhagavad Gita. And the Dhammapada is basically the teachings of Buddha. And I just, this is a real peaceful guy for the most part. Like Jesus, they remind me each other. I just opened this up. Hasten to do good, refrain from evil. If you neglect the good, evil can enter your mind. Wow. Watch out. Okay, there's another one. Oh. Twin verses. Our life is shaped by our mind. We become what we think. Suffering follows an evil thought, as the wheels of a cart follow the oxen that draw it. Joy follows a pure thought, like a shadow that never leaves. Hatred can never put an end to hatred. Love alone can. This is an unalterable law. This is awesome. 500 BC. 500 BC. Yeah. And, I don't have the best memory, but I read these things and I think I somewhat internalize them and somewhat learn from them. And hopefully, as imperfect as I am and as many mistakes as I make every day, look for the light. Look for the light, brothers and sisters. Happy Thanksgiving. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and I'm going to do another video because I like focusing on giving thanks and being thankful for each other and for the beauty that surrounds us, including that tree behind me, Ozarks. That's probably a maple. I'm not sure how native maples are around here. This is an oak hickory area, but I love trees. I'm an Ozark boy, baby. Take care of yourself and each other.